And in true small town fashion, we really appreciate you showing that you care about our project as much as we do, to give your time and attention to come out and hear us talk about our dreams tonight. So let's get started.
Is it too dark or?
No,
Okay.
that's perfect. So in the interest of time, so this can run smoothly, please hold on to your questions till the end of the presentation, and we might actually answer them for you during the presentation. But feel free to take liberty of the notepads and the pens that are scattered about. If you think of something, go ahead and jot it down so that you can remember to approach us later and ask us about it. There will also be an open Q&A so that everyone in the room can hear your questions and our answers to those questions right after the presentation. So thank you. So hello, the four of us here, are Prosperity Property Holdings. Sounds like a really big, faceless entity, but in fact, we are 4 Kempvillians sitting in front of you, and we're the only 4 people that comprise of Prosperity Property Holdings. There's no one else. So far, it's just been our 4 dreams combined, sharing in this process, the planning, the development, the financial backing, it all comes from us. So there's no one else at play yet, and that's part of the purpose of this presentation today, is to teach you more about our development and see how you could possibly get involved and help us out. So I'll start with the introductions. We have, to my left, Marianne Lang. She is our visionary. So this was mostly her dream at the beginning, and she was just generous enough to share it with us. We aligned on so many levels that we couldn't resist getting on board and taking part in this with her. So we call her a visionary, and she's also, in fact, our partner in Prosperity Property Holdings, or PPH, we'll abbreviate it for short. She's also a co-owner in Kemptville Infinity. She's also a professional law clerk with 39 years. And as you may or may not know, Kemptville Infinity offers gymnastics, cheer, parkour, and other programming. And they're also a founding tenant in Forest of Dreams Phase 1, which we will get to down the line. Marianne is also a local real estate investor, and she's pictured here accepting last year's 2022 Civic Award for exemplary work in the community of North Grenville. So I'll hand it over to Marianne to finish the introductions for me.
Am I doing that by myself? Pushing buttons?
It's that easy. You know what? Why don't I sit right here?
Yeah.
I'll do the button pushing.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Andrew Lang. He's also a partner, and yes, we have the last name in common. We are married. So he's the owner of 416 Courier, and also a local real estate investor and a small business owner operating in Kemptville, Ontario. Andrew's very passionate about preserving our land's natural resources and has big ideas for creating an outdoor recreational activity hub for the future of Forest of Dreams, and he'll share that with you later. Yeah. And I'm going to go over here. This is Yuki. Yuki Yamanaka. I'm sorry. Yes. So he's co-owner of Boss Thai Boxing and Fitness and vice president and partner of Prosperity Property Holdings. He's a former professional engineer of 10 years and co-owner of Boss Thai Boxing, one of the founding tenants as well of Forest of Dreams Phase 1. In 2022, he received the People's Choice Award for Best Martial Arts Business and Instructor. He's a real estate investor and residential housing enthusiast. And I just wanted to add there, his background in engineering has been instrumental in us understanding all of the 50, 60, 70 page reports that come out of that world to try and get here today to translate it to English that we understand. Yes. So last but not least, of course, we have Melina Herbaka. She's the owner of New Breed Design and co-owner of Boss Thai Boxing and Fitness. She's CMO, which is our Chief Marketing Officer, and you'll see her wonderful work on our webpage, of course, and of course in this presentation. And she's a partner of Prosperity, PPH. Let's just PPH it. There we go.
PPH it.
There we go. A graphic design and marketing professional since 2009, and also co-owner of Boss Thai Boxing and a Muay Thai instructor. She's an advocate for women's and 2S LGBTQIA+ rights and an active volunteer in our Kemptville community, and also a real estate residential investor. So we're going to share our vision for Forest of Dreams. We're going to start there with the beginning. Everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So how it all began. So our initial motivation was to help Kemptville Infinity's predecessor through some challenging times. My daughter did competitive dance and competitive cheer with precision cheer and dance at the time, and the owners fell upon medical issues and they couldn't continue. So it was 2 months away from all of the groups that worked so hard all year presenting and doing their competitions. So a few of the other parents and I stepped in just to help get them through the year. They worked so hard, we'd get them there. And then when that was all said and done, it was time for the summer, and everybody was, what's happening with the summer? So we weren't sure if the old owners were coming back, and in fact they weren't. So we kind of recognized that Kemptville needs more recreational programming and not having to be traveling to surrounding towns. I know when my kids were younger, I'd be driving them to gymnastics in Smith Falls and art classes in Ottawa, and just Kemptville didn't have enough then, and we've been raising kids. We've raised 18 foster kids in Kemptville throughout the years, the past 20 years, and we've recognized there's so many things that Kemptville needs more of, and definitely youth recreation is a big part of that. So that was kind of definitely our motivation in that. And the other fact is that, once we did get up and running, made it through COVID and got up and running, we realized that most of our classes were like bursting at the seams. Most of our class had waiting lists, so we needed bigger space. And and then Boss Ty heard we were looking for more space, and they were looking for bigger space, so they approached us about taking over our space. And then we started, talking and recognizing that we both wanted the same thing for the community and started working together. So yeah. So there was very limited supply in Kemptville. We tried everything. We tried to buy the old high school, even at full price. They took it off the market. We looked at every possible spot for ourselves rather than building from scratch, trying to make use of things that are here. But there was just nothing at all that would suit us. So we spent over a year looking, and we made offers on different properties, but nothing ended up working out until then we found it. It was the Forest of Dreams. So it was 8.7 acres on Van Buren and Kingdom Road, as most of you know, I'm sure, from seeing things before you came here. And it was more space than we needed. We only really needed a few acres, but the possibilities there with the forest and everything else just went beyond anything we were thinking at the time. So we look forward to the outdoor recreational space as well as the indoor recreational space. And the possibilities are endless in that forest, so we're really happy about that.
So is there anything else you want to add before we switch to Yuki's portion?
No.
Okay, great. So we'll pass it over to Yuki now to talk about our development status update.
So yeah, the whole point of the next few slides is just to kind of show everyone where we're at, where we started, and all of the things that we've done to date really on the development side.
Do you want to control or should I?
I don't want to leave it for me, but you can control.
You can keep your laser.
Yeah.
You got a laser point.
There you go. Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Sold.
All right, so the first thing that we had to do for the property, or the site, I'll call it, is how to rezone. So it was originally zoned as rural, and then we recently actually got it rezoned to commercial C5. Luckily, the site is within North Granville's economic enterprise area, and it's slated for growth and development. And ultimately, the municipality passed the rezoning request and application that we submitted on October 11th, which was very recently. And we didn't receive any notice of appeals or anything, so that has finally been finalized as a rezoned C5. And then the next thing that we recently submitted, which was about a year-long process, a very strenuous, lots of back and forth, lots of studies, which is the site plan application. So that was submitted on October 19th. And the process for the site plan application is primarily in place to show that the development that we have in mind is within the town's vision, and the site and the land is appropriate for what we want to do, and to also prove and show that the development itself won't negatively impact the community. So the site plan application process required a very high-level conceptual design of the facility and a variety of environmental and engineering studies that we will also list. And I think we actually started the process of the studies and the design probably this time last year. And I'll explain why it takes so long. So this is, as you probably saw on the website, this is the site, and this is where my trusty laser pointer comes into play. So north, obviously pointing to the right, and the forested area that's to remain will be to the south, all the way over here. So let's talk about, what should we talk about first? We'll talk about, there's going to be there's an access road with 2 entry points off Kingdom Road. And the primary reason for this is just to keep the traffic flowing nicely. We have a roundabout as well for easy drop-off, like Marianne was saying, with lots of kids in both Thai boxing and Campbell Infinity's programs. Very easy to drop off and pick up, and then they can be on their way. And this access road is also imperative for firefighting, so fire route access. So there's a lot of studies in terms of turning radiuses, making sure that everything was wide enough for the fire trucks to get through here. And as you can see, we've got some stormwater ponds, 1 and 2. That's, as you can imagine, that's just there to manage stormwater, and everything is being drained to stormwater pond 1 and then 2. And let's talk about phase 1 of the development. So phase 1 is everything in gray, which is basically this whole area here, and all the parking spots that is also in the gray area. So phase 1 is Kemptville Infinity and then Boss Thai Boxing. And then within Kemptville Infinity, we've got 2 tenants as well operating out of it, Tempo Music and Academy of Expressive Dance, which we'll also get into later. All these parking spots here are pretty much, they weren't arbitrarily just chosen. It's completely based off of how many occupants and students and members we're expecting in both of our businesses. And through the Planning Act and the Building Code, crank out a big formula and come out with a number. And that's essentially why we have as many parking spots as we do for that reason. Phase 2 is everything in green. So the future KI space here, an extension to the septic bed, this area here, and then all of this parking as well. So we're going to talk about that very briefly. Future KI space here. So I think Kemptville Infinity is expecting some more growth. And we essentially need to outline if there is any potential expansions in the future. We have to show that now. So we're showing that now, and we're not necessarily, we are open to that maybe being multiple things, maybe not just Kemptville Infinities, but maybe a potential for some indoor spaces for other recreational activities. And the center portion here, the future area, we're calling it the lobby. This is part of the vision, is to have this be the central hub, if you will. So through the grand entrance on this side, this central hub will have access to the Boss Thai Boxing business, Kemptville Infinity, Tempo Music, Academy of Expressive Dance, and also have access to this future area, 2-story office medical building. The hope and dream here of the lobby is to maybe call it like an internet cafe. So maybe a canteen where we'll be serving coffee, some drinks, some pre-made meals, access to Wi-Fi. So parents and individuals can hang out here maybe while their family members are, taking up gymnastics, doing some martial arts, or we have plenty of teenagers, university students who are also looking for a space to maybe just do some work before they go work out. So that's kind of the intention here, and we could also utilize the space for gatherings like this, maybe even a wintertime farmer's market and whatnot. The intention is to have an open area where we can do multiple things, multiple uses. And as I was mentioning here, this future office medical area, 2-story building with tenanted spaces, maybe for massage therapy, you name it, right? Whatever other medical care you can think of, or even some recreational things like.
Don't steal my content.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. More fun stuff here that she'll talk about. And just the last thing about the green parking here is, again, there's a big, monstrous formula essentially within the Planning Act and the Building Code. And again, this parking number isn't just picked arbitrarily. It's the parking count is based on kind of the potential future uses of all the phase 2 areas. So our intention isn't to have such a massive parking lot, but it is what's technically required based on code. Okay, so studies complete to date. I won't get into a lot of detail of all this, and if anyone has any questions, we can talk about it maybe after the presentation, but I will just get into it at a very high level for each thing. Okay, so first thing is the environmental site assessment. Phase 1 was completed by Collard & Associates here in town. Phase 1 is primarily just confirming to see if the soil is contaminated on the site and the property. Most greenfield sites aren't, and in our case it was not, so therefore the need for a phase 2 wasn't required. You sometimes run into a phase 2 if maybe you investigate a site that was maybe a gas station before, or a facility that used a lot of chemicals, right? The site might be contaminated in that sense, but nothing of note for us. The second study, the traffic impact study, was completed by DJ Halpenny. He's been in the industry for a very long time. He's located in Manotick. And he didn't note anything of significance in the traffic impact study. There is one thing that I will talk about in the next slide that relates to the traffic impact study. The third thing, the environmental impact study. Primarily, the study is there to confirm if there's any endangered species of amphibians, if there's any endangered trees or anything of note, or birds, and nothing was noted there. Just a small note was a swampy area to the south in the tree area, which triggered just a quick wetland assessment, essentially, to see if the area was provincially significant and if the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority needed to get involved. And ultimately, that assessment yielded that it wasn't really a provincially significant wetland, and primarily just a swamp. And lastly, the soil was checked out as well by Pollard and Associates, and just confirmed that it's primarily sand, regular foundations work, and we don't need anything crazy or fancy in terms of foundations. So back to the traffic that I was talking about. So one of the main common questions we are maybe seeing online when we posted about this meeting on social media was, will the new development require traffic control measures at the intersection of Van Buren Road and County Road 43? So to answer that question directly, due to the development, the traffic impact study did not indicate that there will be a traffic control measure required. However, what it did indicate was in 2006, the United County of Leeds and Grenville completed a study, the master plan of Highway 43, and they identified that they will probably need a roundabout at that intersection due to the natural growth of Kemptville. So all the study identified was, just so you know, this was identified before, with everything that's happening in Kemptville, this should probably be prioritized by the municipality. And that was essentially the answer to that. And can the entrance be off of Van Buren Road instead of Kingdom Road? Kingdom Road is a much quieter road than Van Buren Road, and right where it is, where it goes south, it has quite a bit of a bend, so it would be unsafe if we were going in and out off Van Buren with that bend, and Kingdom Road would be more appropriate and safer for an entrance and exit. So design's completed to date. So as you saw, the site plan was completed. Took a year, a lot of iterations. What if we flipped it this way, put the building here and there, and ultimately this was what yielded the most efficient layout while conserving as much force as possible. The septic system, the well, and the firefighting, that whole strategy has been designed and implemented in the site plan. So as you saw, the ponds for the stormwater, we have some below-grade tanks for firefighting, some fire hydrants. It's our understanding that municipal water isn't available, or there's no plan to bring it there, so that is the reason why we have the low-grade tanks and for the firefighting. And lastly, conceptual floor plans. This was completed during our site plan application as well to make sure that the layouts within the tenanted spaces for phase 1 make sense. We got egress doors located in the correct areas, and it goes back to the occupant count, right, for the parking spaces. So all of that kind of needed to be figured out early on. Site services, so as I mentioned, as we understand, there's no plan for municipal water or wastewater lines to be brought to the site, or brought to that portion anyway of Kingdom and Van Buren. So we're indicating a drilled well onto the site. As you saw, there's a septic bed, on-site storage tanks for firefighting and fire hydrants. And gas, Enbridge, or the gas line currently runs on 43, but does not extend towards Van Buren Kingdom. And we're currently reviewing the feasibility of bringing natural gas to the site, if that is the route we want to go when it comes to heating and cooling and whatnot. Or if we want to go with a different approach, maybe using primarily electrical. And power, we expect incoming power by Hydro One will be required for obvious reasons. So the next steps is the detailed design stage and preparing building permit drawings. JL Richards and Associates were retained for the site plan application, and they would be the consultants, the prime architect and engineer to prepare the detailed design drawings. And the intention is for PPH to proceed with the construction management approach by retaining a contractor. Watering Construction is the general contractor we'll be retaining for the project, and they'll be working hand in hand with JL Richards for a very efficient design, essentially. Understanding, this material has got a long lead time, so maybe we should go with this route instead. It's very efficient this way. Everyone's working together towards the common goal. And JLR Waterden actually have a long working relationship, and we're very confident that their collaborative approach will have the project completed on time and on budget and very smoothly.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah, next we'll move on to phase 1 plans in a little more detail, but thank you, Yuki, for that very detailed overview of our site plan process and everything that went into it. It certainly sounded like a lot, because it was a lot. It was a lot.
And that sunflower is growing at the property, actually. So.
Yes, yes. Oh, she survives, yeah. So our phase 1 plans, let's talk about our phase 1 tenants. So phase 1 is kind of set in stone, so let's talk about who's moving in there. We have, of course, Chemphil Infinity. They are offering gymnastics, cheer, parkour, and more. And you're welcome to chat with Marianne Lang after the presentation. I'm sure she'd love to tell you more about their business. And then Crew Yuki means instructor. Yuki and I run Boss Thai Boxing and Fitnessing, so our new home will also be in the phase 1 development. We are a martial arts gym. And we also have partners with Academy of Expressive Dance, who will be a subtenant of Chemphil Infinity, as well as Tempo Music Studio, another subtenant of Chemphil Infinity.
And actually, Mayday Frizzle is at the back there. She
Yes.
is Tempo Drive Music Studio, so any questions there, she'll be happy to answer them too.
Glad you're here. Awesome. So what do we all have in common as phase 1 tenants? Well, each business taking up tenancy in phase 1 is owned and operated by Chemphil residents. Investing in their growth directly enriches the lives of people in our community, which in turn enriches Chemphil's economy. The primary goals of our tenants' businesses are health and wellness, both mental and physical, creative expression, collaboration, community building, and competition, because we like to do big things on an international scale in the name of Chemphil. And these businesses are growing at an exponential rate. Their successes and resilience through the pandemic has secured their place in this community. We're not going anywhere. And it enables us to outgrow our current homes at record speeds. So they're all in search of a new forever home within the borders of our hometown. Now let's talk about our vision for phase 2. This is where you all have a voice. Phase 2 could be the home of a yoga and meditation studio, or any form of group wellness classes. It could be a versatile and open co-working space available to rent by the hour by any group or individual. It could be an arcade or a movie theater geared towards Chemphil's youth, giving them a place to spend their evenings and weekends safely among friends. It could supply smaller units rented to much-needed health services such as massage therapy, chiropractic, or physiotherapy. And of course, the space would be perfectly suitable for indoor pickleball courts. All of these ideas are just that. They're ideas. I'm sure you have plenty more of your own that we would love to hear about. But until we meet our goal for funding, hopefully with your help, it's still a blank canvas. So now I'll pass it to Andrew Lang, who's going to talk to us about the forest that remains on the property and our future plans for said forest.
Sure. Hi, I'm Andrew, as you know. I've been a resident living in and around Kemp for about 4 years, I guess. I'm old enough to remember the old Kempville Hotel, which was basically downtown Old Kempville, which is basically a place to go listen to live music and play pool, but that's gone many years ago. As I said, I lived around this town for that time. I was kind of one of those people back then, and since then too, is kind of saying, oh, here comes another subdivision, Here's another subdivision. Oh no, those people from Ottawa are going to come out here and take over this old town of Kempville. They call that progress, right? And I was kind of, like I said, one of those people who was kind of saying, what the hell, the time. But people from Ottawa, they ain't really that bad, and these people in these subdivisions aren't that bad either, because we live in a small subdivision in Keppel ourselves, and if we didn't have people coming into the community, new people, we'd never met the wonderful people, UP and Melina. They're a great partnership and great friends of ours now. So, that's a big change over the years. Many subdivisions have happened. As you know, if you look around town, there's quite a bit of open space, some cleared land that's happening. Obviously, there's going to be more houses. No one's going to stop that. We have to accept it. We can sit around and whine about it, complain about it, but, you know, that's not going to get us anywhere. Thank you. That's not getting us there. So, given that, this new vision of ours will create jobs, prosperity, and also create community for everybody. The green space. Now, as I mentioned, there's a lot of places being cut down. We had to cut so many trees down. If you go in from the site plan, you'll see that a lot of parking space is taken up. But we have kept some trees. There's certain clumps of trees that we've kept. And also too at the back, we have the 5 acres of complete treed area. That's also being kept there as well.
Let me know you want me to split this side.
Also too, once phase 1 and phase 2 is completed, we're also going to bring back a whole bunch of trees, replant a whole bunch of trees. So when in fact you're actually at the location, you look around, you're going to see trees all the way around the area, plus you're going to see that the 5 acres at the back of the property will remain as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's indicated in yellow there how much forest remains still on the land. Mm-hmm.
As I said, 5 acres still remain. Out of this 5 acres, there's kind of a lot of potential. I've already started working on a walking path, a walking nature trail. So basically, you know, if a parent or somebody or a child is deep inside one of the buildings doing one of the activities, maybe someone else wants to go for a walk in the woods, you know, enjoy that while they're waiting for their son or daughter in one of the activities. We also think of maybe a possible rope obstacle course, zip lining as well through the trees, and we're also having a outdoor pavilion that can be used for other outdoor activities. Maybe can be used during the summertime because we have a lot of camps for kids at the gym, so they can go outside, be in the pavilion, eat their lunch, and enjoy that. At night time, that pavilion can be used for outside. Oh, there it is right there. Can be used for maybe, you know, different events. You know, meetings, outside meetings, weddings. Maybe we don't, you know, lots of potential. And kind of it's going to look something like this, I guess. Going to have a nice fire pit to warm people up in cooler weather. And that will be also possible for snowmobilers to pass through as well and enjoy. As I said, the snowmobile trail actually does run through the property right now. It's been that way for many years, and it's going to continue that way. We have been in touch with the other guys about that too. It is part of the Ontario Trail System that connects the whole province of Ontario. And as I said, we've spoken to the Kentville Snowmobile Club already, and they're going to come by and decide on where best the trail will go through the property. And that's the trail from the down Van Buren onto our property, down the 43. That's the route for that. This is the whole of the Ontario Snowmobile route, all over Eastern Ontario, right there as well, with our property being on that main trail as well. Snowmobile is very popular in winter time here.
That
was your last slide, Andrew? Is there anything else you want me to go back to?
Just dance or whatever they're going to do, and then leave. Well, many times the parent sits out in the car on the phone waiting out for their kid to do a dance or whatever they're doing there. This is for a place going to be an outdoor area where people can spend time there in winter time, fall, spring, enjoying themselves, doing all sorts of things, walking the trail. There's also one of my ideas in this pavilion is going to have a nice fireplace so people go by on the colder nights and colder days to sit by the fire all day, read a book while their child is inside doing an activity. So it's going to be a multi-purpose use outside. And as I said, it's going to be surrounded by as many trees as possible, and we can enjoy the forest as well as the interior of the buildings. I think that's about it.
It sounds lovely. Thank you. Thank
Good.
you so much.
All right.
So hopefully that paints a pretty detailed picture of our dream for how to use the remaining forest. And it's a beautiful forest, and you know, we were pained to take down what we had to in order to build this new building. But you know, dreams take lots of space, especially when we dream as big as we do. So we have preserved as much forest as we possibly could.
I just forgot to mention, look, I did spend a lot of time there before we actually cut the trees down. What were there was maple, ash, a little bit of birch, and cedar. Mostly ash and maple. If you look around, if you drive around in the middle of summer, you drive down any street, any road around, you'll see, if you look for all the trees that have no leaves on, it's usually ash trees. Most of the ash trees have died with the ash beetle there. Same as on the property too. The many huge ash trees were all dead, so they had to come down anyway. Unfortunately, we had to cut some maples, but that's the way it goes, you know, for this development. But as I said, we are going to plant more trees and hopefully make it back the best we can.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. All right, everybody. So let's move on to one of the biggest reasons why we invited everyone out here today, and that's to talk about the potential for partnership opportunities. So, like any business-minded entrepreneurs, we have considered our options for where to look for investment partners. Calling this meeting wasn't a requirement mandated by the municipality, nor was it part of the development process. We called this meeting and invited the public because we believe that we can find community partners among you. Our core values align with providing opportunities to our neighbors and direct community to invest and prosper with us as we bring development to Kemptville. Silence your phone. Not to become the new Barrhaven, right? Because if we wanted to do that, we would just go knocking on doors in the big cities and we'd already have funding by now. So we don't want to become the new Barrhaven. We want to hear the opinions of local people that live here and they work here and they run their businesses here and what they want to see this town become. So our vision, as Marianne put it so well, is to bring Kemptville something it sorely needs and to invite invested members of our community to contribute to the decision making, or at the very least, reap in the benefits of a healthy return on their investment through our project. So let's take a look at our funding to date. As of today, we have collectively, and collectively meaning just the four of us sitting here, personally contributed 67% of our total cost to get us to the doorstep of construction. Another $193,000 is required to see us through the detailed design and development phase of phase one. So again, the partners you see here are the only people who have personally invested in Forest of Dreams, and if possible, we want to exclusively bring in partners from this community who share the same values and ideals for this town. So let's talk about the options that we've come up with, and of course we're open to hearing your ideas as well about these ways to participate. So the first thing we want to offer is becoming a Forest of Dreams legacy founder. A legacy founder is someone who has made a financial contribution towards the development of this project, and in return are honored and memorialized by a permanent fixture built into phase one. So due to the nature of the design of the building, we have a few options for how we can give recognition. Of those options, we'll go into a little more detail in the following slides. But to start, for contributions to the project under $5,000, we want to honor you with a leaf on our mural of a great big Forest of Dreams tree which will grace the walls of our main entrance in phase 2. And we want to emphasize that there is a solution for everyone here. No contribution is too little, and there is a way for everyone to play a part in helping us create the Forest of Dreams. So now I'll pass it to Marianne to speak a little bit more to the different types of shares we are offering and what those mean.
So, as I was saying before, I'm a law clerk in corporate commercial, so this is kind of my area to figure out how our business can be shared and how people can be part of it. So one of the options that we have is preferred shares. So we're now taking meetings with local private investors, and we met with a few of them already this week, to own preferred shares in phase 1. And at that time when we meet with you, we can we'll present the detailed financials and exactly kind of everything that's behind where we are to date and where we're going for sure. So preferred shares are given priority over common shares, meaning that their principal is paid first before common shares. So if you invest in a preferred share, it's kind of like a GIC. Nothing happens to it, it stays there. You would receive a dividend as if it was bank interest on a GIC, but the common shareholders couldn't take the money or sell anything until you are satisfied. So there is security in that. Preferred shares also, earn dividends at a fixed rate of interest, and currently we're offering 8%, which is certainly better than bank GICs. And the minimum investment for a preferred share certificate is $5,000. So there's also common shares, and common shares share in the future growth and profits of phase 2 and in perpetuity. So as there's equity and as the mortgage is paid down and people's investments are paid back, the equity grows and that is yours forever, and as the business grows, then you share in that, being a common shareholder. It's ideal for someone looking for a long-term investment, and also for those that want to have input and relocate or start the business in phase 2 and want to have more of an ownership part of that. There's no limit to the potential profits shared with common shareholders. It grows forever. And any offers exceeding $50,000 would be considered for common shares. But we'd kind of make sure that it's a good fit and everything works for sure, yeah. So what does it really mean to own shares? So initially we're looking for a 2-year commitment just to kind of get us through the construction phase. And after that, they're redeemable on 60 days notice. Shares can be held in your personal name or in a corporate name, and they're also an asset of your estate, so they can be transferred to a family member or anybody else down the road as well. So we spoke before about the $5,000 legacy founder. So in addition to your preferred shares paying your annual dividends, you'd also have a tier 2 recognition on the property, which would be by way of a patio stone or of your name or that of a loved one. And it would be installed at the front entrance or in the courtyard. And there'd also be a VIP pass included, which gives you priority use of our public meeting space. And as a $10,000 legacy founding contributor, you'd again receive your preferred shares and also legacy recognition tier 3, which would include something like a park bench in the front entrance and courtyard, and also VIP pass for public meeting space. And as a $20,000 legacy founding contributor, you'd receive your preferred shares and tier 4 recognition, which would be a tree at the property in your name or somebody, and also your VIP pass and discount on services offered for all the tenants in phase 1. So common shareholder opportunity, as we spoke before, they share in the long-term growth of PPH and the Forest of Dreams. They benefit with a healthy rate of return, and expected return on your investment would be after the phase 2 completion. And we would meet with you privately and just to kind of discuss it further.
Beautiful, thank you. We're certainly open to talking more details about participating by contributing by way of shares after the meeting. There's a lot of information to impart there. And as we've emphasized a few times, it's important that we find the right fit for us to make a partnership, and that we share the same values and dream and goals for this development. So that's why we were holding some private meetings to kind of decide who fits in well. So that, for the most part, concludes our presentation. We want to thank everyone for coming out just by being here. It's a huge show of support. We can't thank you enough for taking your time to be with us and to learn about our dreams and what we're building in Kemptville. As I said, we're taking one-on-one meetings to discuss your personal investment in Forester Dreams, whatever that might be, even some ideas you might want to throw our way. We are very open, and we know that everyone here has very good ideas, so we would love to hear them. So please take down this email if you want to get in touch with us. It's prosperitypropertyholdings@gmail.com. And this slideshow will be emailed out to everyone that RSVP'd to the meeting tonight, so you'll get it in your inbox sometime tomorrow. So you'll have a record of that email address as well.
And actually, I think there's a few people who weren't on our email list, so maybe we'll circulate
Sure.
like a
Yeah.
sign list or something.
Yeah,
So make
please,
sure you
please
get it.
come see us if you want a copy of the questions anyone might have.
I have a question. Originally, I was wondering how youth might be able to get themselves out to your location, but I just saw that we're getting a new transit system.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Are you aware of whether it will be included in the route?
I don't know anything about the transit system
Does
yet.
anybody
What do you
know
know about it?
Yeah, it's gonna be on demand,
Oh, okay.
and so they can arrange for a ride through an app or on the
Oh,
internet, that
okay.
kind of thing.
That's awesome.
And then they have to wait for the ride, probably a similar wait to calling a taxi, because it's not on a route, it's coming to you directly.
That's very
Oh,
cool.
Thank you.
Very exciting, yeah. Yeah, we're only just past the highway off-ramp. So we're not very far out of town. And certainly we want to model this as a destination. So a place where whole families can go, even if only one or two of them are actually members in our businesses in phase one, there will be something for everyone there. Yeah, of all ages.
And the system will be open to users 12 years of age and older. So it will be available, the World Transit System will be available to youth.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, something actually that just came into my mind that we would love to emphasize is, Yuki did show us, maybe I'll pull it up again just for fun, the site plan drawing. And to expand on that a bit more, phase 2 is actually a quite large open lobby space, which has unlimited potential for gatherings and all types of events, as he touched on, but also the extension to that is actually 2 stories, and each story is about 4,000 square feet. So we have a lot of real estate that is open to portioning up into smaller spaces, and we can configure it virtually any way we want. So it's really ideal for new business owners or expanding established businesses to move in and really make it their own and have it meet their needs, because it's a blank canvas and there's quite a bit of space to work with.
And the lobby itself is,
It's about 4,000.
just under 4,000,
Yeah.
4,000 square feet.
We'll get there soon.
I have another question. Both of your businesses, I know, are outgrowing your current space. Relative to the plan, how big is it going to get compared to the way you are now? Like,
That's
are
a
you
great
doubling
question.
size?
Mm-hmm.
So for Kemptville Infinity, we have 5,000 square feet now, and our space is gonna be 14,000.
Oh, wow.
And of that, Academy of Expressive Dance is gonna be part of Infinity, and there's a 2,000 square foot allocated for their dance studio. So they'll have 2 areas separated by a sliding wall, so they can have 2 smaller classes or larger classes there, and then the other 12,000 will be for us, and that's why we put on for the potential of another 5,000. It's at the rate that Kemptville's growing,
Oh, yeah.
expected in the next, 7 years to be 20%, that we have to plan for that kind of thing, and we were kind of thinking that extra space might be a parkour space or perhaps a shared gym, that we could use parkour as well in the evenings and also offer it daytime pickleball or daytime other things or other, the gymnasium space in Kemptville is in high demand as well, so
Uh-huh.
it may end up being something like that too, yeah. And for Boston,
Yeah, so our space currently is about 1,450 square feet, 1,450. So we'd be, and for the people who go there, like it's quite tight, and we're bursting at the seams, and we're going to probably have a wait list on our membership imminently. So we're going to about 4,000 square feet, so that's just under 3 times. And that will allow us to have more kids, because there's lots of kids interested, but again, we have a bit of a wait list going. And the dream for the future as well is to host more youth martial art tournaments, and we would have the space to do that. Whereas right now we just simply don't.
It's good for Kempville tourism to bring gyms and athletes, especially gymnastics athletes from out of town, make Kempville more of a destination. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You showed that you have 2/3 of the 500,000 you need to
Yes.
get the development going. What are your expected costs for the entire building, A Phase 1 and B Phase 2? And how much more membership do you need to carry the cost of that potential building and mortgage that's with it? So you've got lots of members now in your 5,000 square feet. You're gonna go to 15 or 14,000 square feet. Is the membership gonna triple? And
So
that-
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to think, so you're gonna need X number of millions to put the building up, just Phase 1, let alone Phase 2. And how much increase in membership are you gonna need to just carry that building, let alone pay a dividend to your shareholders you're talking about?
Yeah.
And then have enough money to go for Phase 2.
Yeah.
So let's just talk Phase 1.
Almost for sure, actually. We have, we were speaking to BDC, which is the Business Development Corporation, and they often help small businesses get started with loans because their criteria isn't that of the chartered banks. And as part of our process with them, we presented 2 years of projected financials for both of our core, we're calling them core tenants or the anchor tenants, which is our businesses. And so we did 2 years of projected financials, like where we are now, what we anticipate, and how we anticipate, other programs that we plan to offer that we can't offer now. Like in our case, we'd like to offer before and after care for school-aged kids, not daycare, but just come and play kind of thing, and that there's definitely a need in our community for that. So in our case, for Kempville Infinity, we've identified what's needed in the community and worked that into our projected financials. And the classes that we have waiting lists on, expanded that. And our summer camps are full in March. We open up registration in March and we're full within 2 weeks. And there's no room, we can only have 32 kids at camp for Infinity, 8 per coach, and that's all the space we have. So, based on that and the waiting list that we have, we're kind of expecting that year 1, in our case, year 1, we'd go from 32 to 48, and then from 48 to 64 in year 2. So we do have all that kind of set out, and certainly if someone's interested in more details, we have that all in writing, the projected financials for the next couple of years, and we'd be happy to share that with anybody who's seriously interested, for sure. Yeah. Oh yes, that's the other thing too, is right now we only have 1 birthday party room and it's booked months in advance. As soon as we open them, they're booked. And so we have planned 3 party rooms in the new phase to be able to accommodate all kinds of themes, not just gymnastics, but other themes as well. So it's all kind of written out in there in detail, and we'd be happy to share that with anybody who's interested. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add from the boss end of things, or?
Yeah, just based on the projected financials of being in there for the first year, I think we estimated a measly growth of like 20% student base, because honestly, our space is limiting our growth right now. By having showers available, people are able to work out in the morning, take a shower, and get to work. Offering more morning classes, having 2 classes at the same time, having a different martial art completely come in will just boost the student base a lot more.
And the last thing I'd like to add is that, when we're looking at BDC financing, who, we've been working with over a year now, and stuff, like their rate of offering to us is 8%, which is why we're offering that to potential investors. So whether we pay it to investors or we pay it to BDC by way of a mortgage, either way, it's in our budget. And besides the anchor tenants, 2 years projected financials, we also have the projected financials for PPH based on our rent, our business's rent to PPH. And then we show on that, whether we're paying the mortgage or paying our investors back, it's the same rate. And that's shown on there as well and accounted for. So. Yeah.
Well, yep.
How many more, potential business partners can you accommodate in phase 1?
It's a really good question, and there's no real limit.
Phase
I
one?
mean, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
There's a
Phase one, we're full up with tenancy, so we're not inviting new businesses to open in phase one. Although, as was the case with Tempo Music Studio, they've become a subtenant of Kemptville Infinity, so sometimes the opportunity can present itself if a space is being unused. For instance, with the use of the space for the dance studio, most of those classes are run in the evenings, so it's usable space during the day. So maybe that would fit somebody's needs. You know, pickleball courts was an idea that was floating around for daytime rentals. So just more income revenue streams are possible if we get creative. But essentially, we're pretty landlocked with regards to phase one. We can't really go outward anymore from here. But phase two it's a dreamer's blank slate, and as long as it fits the mandate and we believe in the business owner and the partner coming in, then we'll make it happen.
And initially, when we first started this project, the whole phase one and phase two were plus the cafeteria open space. We planned on that right at the start, but then reality set in and we realised that is, just too much for the beginning, so that's why we had to scale it down to phase one. And once it's going, then that will create enough income and stuff for phase two. So.
And also for phase one, to incorporate everything into phase two that we're planning, the cafe and the other possible business that we don't even know what it'll be yet. That takes some time, and we are desperate to move.
Yeah.
Our lease is up next year, your lease is up next year, so we had to go with phase one. We could have, if we waited till all of our ideas for phase two, we wouldn't have anywhere to be next year.
Yeah.
So we need a home, and then while we have our home, we can start planning phase two, and it can go as soon as we have the right people,
Yeah. Kristen?
So you mentioned about being on time and on budget and so on. So what does on time look like for you right now? You've got a pressing lease ending and so on. So what is your time frame that you're looking at for phase one?
Yeah, so schedule is looking like we're on, call it track right now for having shovels in the ground for the spring. So detailed design over December, January, applying for building permit around that time as well. And then as the frost is getting out of the ground, we can start prepping the site, and the contractor and our consultant their target schedule as well is shovels in the ground for around March, April. And then our hope is to be into the space by Christmas.
Yeah.
If I could wave my magic wand, we'd be in there in September, but I'm told it doesn't work very well.
Thankfully too, our space is quite open, so like in terms of, call it a big building, but the finished floor is a concrete slab.
Yeah,
And
so
then
it
we
should
put
be
down-
sort of slab on grade, and then do you have an idea of what kind of construction you're going to be using? Like,
For the exterior,
yeah.
I think we're thinking of like a stone skirt, if you will, for about 4 feet, and then metal siding, vertical siding, maybe green or blue, I don't know what we can
Yeah.
find it on,
Yeah.
but something that complements the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we chose pre-engineered, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Because it's faster.
Mm-hmm.
We can order it now, it can be built in the factory and just put it together like Lego versus an original construction, which could take longer.
Mm-hmm.
Time is our biggest challenge right now, for sure.
And our buildings are giant rectangles,
Yeah.
so they're very easy to design for prefab.
Mm-hmm.
Megan, you had a question?
Are you looking primarily for business, corporate, kind of private lenders, or is there any possibility of like municipal funding, non-profit funding? Like, is your focus on private lenders at this time?
We're open to creative ideas. Like our first idea and the easiest target to reach, given tonight's meeting, are private funders. But hopefully the word reaches the right people, and we're open to doing the research too if it comes to that. But I think in the time frame that we're working with, we're really going to go with the quickest option just to get this project done. So Marian, do you want to lend any ideas to that, or input into our decision making for funders?
Yeah, we are open to, we're definitely limited as not being a nonprofit on some opportunities, but there's other opportunities for rec and stuff to do, but we kind of have to run them concurrently. We have to go with real numbers and real money. But, whenever we can find out any other opportunities for, if there are grants for recreational development for youth and stuff like that, we definitely apply and go for that if we can. It's just timing, we have to keep moving for sure for now, because that often can really slow things down. So we have to do both, really, you know, yeah, I think, yeah.
And related to the funding, and one of the slides we talked about was the feasibility of bringing natural gas to the site. We kind of need to do a bit of an analysis on, is there funding for more of a green approach with PV panels on the roof, a more electrical power with PV panels to heat and cool the building, or do we bring in that gas line? So there's that sensitivity analysis that we kind of have to do as well, to hopefully get some funding, if there's anything available.
And I imagine you probably consulted with GCFDC and about the Eastern Ontario Development Program loans
Yep.
and that type of thing.
We've been on board with them for a year as well, talking about things, and, yep, but thank you. Absolutely, any, if anybody has any avenues that we haven't thought of or wants to share them, then absolutely, we're for sure, yeah, that's helpful.
Are you still considered a small business?
I think so.
Because I think it's like under 500 people or something probably. So Leeds Granville Small Business Enterprise Center, they're probably connected with GCFDC in terms of their advice
Yeah.
and loans and grants and that type of thing.
Well, I know Infinity itself has about 450 athletes, so I don't know if they mean employees or if they mean athletes that you offer to, so. But absolutely, we'll, you know, we're open to anything that anybody has any needs or anything, we're absolutely helpful, that would be helpful, for sure, yeah.
Takes a village,
Mm.
literally. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll open the lights up again, and we're gonna linger around here a little bit while longer. You're welcome to, again, help yourself to the coffee and the snacks and converse among yourselves, but we'd love to have conversations with you and continue the conversation.
There's lots of snacks there.
Do you want to just speak to what's on the tables?
Oh, sure, yeah, if you don't mind.
Sure.